All right, Solo Leveling is back, but is the movie Reawakening an A gate or an E gate? Let's talk about it now. Hey everyone, it's David Stark from Watcher Pass. I'm here to talk to you about Solo Leveling Reawakening, which comes to theaters on December 4th, 2024. It comes to IMAX on December 4th. Then it comes to theaters, regular theaters on December 6th. It is a kind of hybrid in between thing that kind of bridges the first season and the second season. It basically tells a abbreviated first season story and then gives you the first two episodes of the second season. So is this movie worth your time? Is this movie worth watching? My hot take is, I think you should kind of watch it later. Look, the recap is good if you haven't seen Solo Leveling, but you shouldn't watch the recap if you haven't seen Solo Leveling. You should watch Solo Leveling. It is a fantastic series. Watch the first 12 episodes. I devoured them. They are amazing. Then you can watch season two, which is the second part of this movie. The second part of the movie is the first two episodes of season two. I believe it's called Arise. That lets you get the first two episodes of season two, but those are coming out later. So look, if you're a big Solo Leveling fan and you can't wait until I think January 25th when it comes out, then check it out. But if you're a big Solo Leveling fan, you've probably seen the first season's episodes, and I mean, yeah, maybe you want to see the first two episodes of season two about a month or 2 months early, but you could also just wait and watch it when it comes to Crunchyroll in January. So I'm kind of mixed. Like overall, I'd say it's like a watch later. Like the recap, I'd say it's kind of a pass because, and that's only because I've already seen Solo Leveling. It was all reused footage. It was all chunks of the first season just kind of cut together. So I wouldn't really want to sit down and rewatch that. And the new episodes are fantastic. They're really good. I love the second season, but it's also coming out later. So I think overall, I'd say it's like a watch later because like, if you're a big Solo Leveling fan, check it out for the first two episodes of the new season, but you're going to be real bored for the first hour. So all that being said, I'm going to tell you a little about the movie, a few things I like, a few things I didn't like, and really quickly going to do a recap of just the new episodes. So as you can imagine, there'll be spoilers in the recap section. If you don't know what happens in this movie, if you don't know what happens in those first two episodes, I would turn it off when they get to the recap. Before that though, I'll keep it vague, I'll keep it spoiler free, let you know when I get to those spoilers. And also look, I know Jinwoo doesn't use a katana. This is what I have. I don't have a like ornate dagger to showcase. So the thumbnail is me with a katana. This is all I've got. So I'm making do with what I've got. So, like I said, I already kind of explained what Soul Level Reawakening is. It is an hour of an abbreviated first season. You get chunks of the first season. They don't give you any new footage. It is all repurposed season one clips, essentially. They're strung together to give you the most important parts of the season. And then after that, you get the first two episodes of the second season. So that's kind of what it is. You get to follow Jinwoo's journey after the end of season one, where he has a surprising big revelation, and then you get to see what happens right after. So, things I liked about this series, and I'm going to go with just the movie first, and then the episodes second. So for the movie, things I loved. It's Solo Leveling. I mean, I love the anime. It's really good, and we get to see it again, I guess. So, yay. Like I said, I didn't really love that it's all reused footage. It is all repurposed footage. There's nothing new for the first hour or so. It's all just redone clips. And also because it's kind of an abbreviated version, it's kind of a confusing opening if you haven't seen the series. So this is for people who haven't seen the series, but like I think I would have been pretty confused if I just watched that 1 hour recap. There's only so much they can do when they're trying to push, what is it, 12 22-minute or so episodes. What is that? That's about, 4 hours ish, give or take, where they're trying to push all that into 1 hour. But it would have been really confusing just to kind of the way it starts out and the way it kind of like jumps in places. So I don't really think it's a great vehicle if you haven't seen the series. If you haven't seen the series, go watch it. It's so good. You're going to devour it. But the whole purpose of this is to catch you up so that you can get right into the second season. So again, it's a weird place for this. They didn't even like redo any of the art. It's not like the new Sword Art Online series where they're like redoing the series, redoing the art, and like redrawing it from Asuna's perspective. Like it's a whole new retelling of the Sword Art Online original story. This is just, again, reusing the footage. So it feels a little bit of a cop out, especially if you're going to a movie theater to watch it. Now, for the new episodes, I'm just going to go right on the new episodes. I really love them. I thought that they were really fun. I thought it kind of like gave you what you wanted from the end of the first season. The things I loved, look, Jinwoo's a little more cocky now, which is fun. Before, like season one, he started off more timid and then kind of gained confidence throughout. At this point, at the start of season two, he is very cocky, which I assume at some point is going to bite him, but it hasn't yet. So it's kind of fun to see a different type of Jinwoo. The next thing I loved, the new combat mechanics. If you watched season one, at the very end, Jinwoo got some cool new combat mechanics that he can use, and they fully utilize them in this, and it makes for some really interesting battles and some really kind of fun things to watch. And the last thing I love the animation. It's really great animation. It's really kind of exciting. It's really beautiful. It's really kind of over the top. And the new combat mechanics look fantastic. They're animated beautifully. They add a new like layer of depth to the whole combat in this series. So I love seeing that, and I love seeing kind of more solo leveling. And the last thing I loved, there's a lot more intrigue. I mean, there was some intrigue in the first season, but now that Jinwoo's getting more cocky, now that he's getting kind of like more confident in what he's doing, he is starting to play some other games. And the first two episodes just kind of lay the groundwork for that. Also, all that being said, things I didn't love as much. Um, I'll just call it like the power spike. It feels like Jinwoo was gaining power throughout the first season, and now in the second season, he is pretty darn powerful. And so I'm sure that there will be ways to challenge him, but you don't really get much of that in the first two episodes. I assume there will be some new foe that he has to power up or train or maybe like, fail at in order to get stronger. But we haven't seen it yet, and it does feel like, solo leveling's season one like curve went way high, and season two is already up here. So it's kind of tough for me to see where he's going to go from here, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. I'm sure there will be plenty to do in season two. All that being said, Solo Leveling Reawakening, it comes to theaters on December 4th, 2024. Like I said, I think you should maybe watch it later, or if you don't care about the new episodes, pass on it, because the recap is not worth it. If you only care about the new episodes, I think you're gonna enjoy them. But again, this is something you'll be able to see in like 2 months on Crunchyroll. So ultimately, I think you should watch it later, wait for it to come to streaming. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear. And I'm gonna really quickly go into a recap of just the two episodes from the second season. So if you don't want to know what happens in this in those episodes, I would turn off now because there will be spoilers. So season two is called Arise from the Shadow. You have Jinwoo at the very end of season one. He gained a new power. He became like a necromancer, but then that he like progressed past necromancer. I forget what it was, like a battle mage or something like that. He basically has the ability to like call on the shadows of recently dead enemies and use them in combat. So he has always been a solo fighter, and now he's going to have his own army that he can call forth. So early on, Jinwoo has to go see his sister's teacher. I guess probably a parent-teacher conference. He's the parent in the situation, so he has to go see her. But as he's leaving, he sees one of his sister's friends who recognizes him as the person who has been completing these C rank gates. She was one of the strike group that Jinwoo was using to clear out the 20 C rank gates. And so she is apparently a person at his sister's school, and she recognizes him. Jinwoo, I think, wants to convince her because she's an E rank and it's a tough life to give it all up. So he decides to take her into a C rank gate with him. So he finds the White Tiger Guild leaders. They're going to do a C rank gate. He says he's going to tag along, and lucky for them, he does, because it goes south very quickly. Now, the leader of this strike team is an A rank who is a new A rank. He just recently awakened, but he is an A rank. He's a tank. He is very cocky, and there's a C rank gate, so he thinks he'll be fine. So he takes him, a couple B rankers, a couple C rankers, and the two E rankers, Jinwoo and this girl, into the gate. Now, when they get there, something happens. The gate turns red and starts radiating power. So it became what's called a red gate, which can happen. And basically, it's almost like a nightmare gate. Like, it is much harder than what it should have been. And it seems like the enemies are a lot different. You can't really plan. And also, the gate is closed until you complete it. So no one can come in and no one can come out. So when they show up, there's a snow area, and pretty early on, they are attacked by these snow elves. They're kind of like stealthy elves that are very sinister, very mean, and Jinwoo recognizes them early on, or he recognizes at least that they had shot arrows, and catches one of the arrows before it hits his E rank companion. Someone else didn't notice this, especially then most notably the A rank leader didn't notice this, and so one of the I think C rank characters dies because of it. So they decide to split up into two teams to explore this gate and try to clear it as quickly as possible. The A ranker takes most of them. He takes like a squad of five, and they go off in one direction. And Jinwoo, the other E ranker, and one other person who's like I think a C ranker, a weaker C ranker, and one girl who recognizes that Jinwoo saw the elves early on, caught the arrow, realized what was going on. She thinks that Jinwoo has more power than he's laying on, so she decides to go with him. So they split up into two groups. So we'll start with the A rank squad because their story is pretty quick. They go and encounter some ice bears. The A rank leader is hot headed. He kills all the ice bears. He thinks everything is fine. But then they get beset by ice elves, and the ice elves end up taking everyone out and kind of using the A rank person to lead them back to the rest of the squad. They don't kill him. He runs after his squad is taken out, and the ice elves follow him back to where they think it's going to go. Now, over on Jinwoo's side, they're doing much better. Jinwoo recognizes it's very cold, so he calls forth some warm coats from his inventory, which all the players are very kind of like amazed at that he can do. So they all have warm coats. He sets them up with a camp with some fire, and then he goes out and continues to fight. They encounter some ice bears, but Jinwoo has the arise power, so he raises up his soldiers. They take out all the ice bears, and then this like ice bear leader comes and is like the super ice bear. He takes out all the shadow soldiers very easily, but Jinwoo has Igris, the red knight who he fought to get these powers. He calls Igris forth. Igris goes, takes out the ice bear, the like king ice bear, and handles it pretty easily. And then Jinwoo does what we hope he does all the time. He uses his arise power. This ice bear's spirit, this ice bear's shadow comes and like attaches itself to him. So now he has a pretty cool ice bear on top of all the other warriors he's got. So after all this happens, our A rank friend who had his squad decimated is wandering through the snow, cold and kind of delirious, and he sees Jinwoo's squad with warm coats by a fire, eating supplies, things like that, and he gets mad. He's like, how did they survive? Like, why didn't you help us? You were sitting here relaxing while we were getting slaughtered. So he comes and starts yelling at them. But unfortunately for our friends, the ice elves were following him, trying to kind of like figure out where the rest of the squad is. They emerge from their stealth, and they're led by this like shadow elf. The shadow elf sees Jinwoo, they talk, and the shadow elf asks Jinwoo why he's mingling with humans when he isn't one. You're like, that's weird. I thought Jinwoo was human. This elf goes on to explain that they have a voice in their head because they're like enemies, telling them to always kill humans. But with Jinwoo, they don't have that. And Jinwoo thinks it's something to do with like the system. Maybe the system is singling him out. He does seem to have other abilities. He does seem to not act like a normal player. So maybe that is why they are not being told to kill him. Now, unfortunately, there are a bunch of elves here. They think they are outnumbering these like five humans, but Jinwoo calls forth his army and they go and take on the elves. Now, the boss elf, this like shadow elf, is strong, stronger than even Jinwoo, and so his troops start taking out the elves, but this boss elf takes them all out. Now, eventually, Jinwoo is being attacked on two sides because he's got this shadow elf attacking him, but this A rank player is angry at Jinwoo for like not helping him, for being better than him, for surviving. So he starts approaching on the other side, and so it looks like Jinwoo's gonna get pincered, but he like pulls up some snow to like obfuscate everything, and he has Igris kill the A ranker. And I was like, whoa, like that is a big turn. I mean, all the other times he has killed because he's been forced to, basically because the system told him he had to. This time, it seems like he is making this choice, you know, strategically, and also because he doesn't want to take on an A ranker and this shadow elf. But it feels like he is, you know, doing this nonchalantly almost. Igris kills the A ranker, and then Jinwoo makes it a rise, and he gives it this name Iron. So now he has Igris, that cool giant bear, and this A rank tank to help in his army. So now that he has Igris and this tank and himself, they all take on the Shadow Elf. So even though he's outnumbered, he still puts on a good fight, but eventually they break his weapon, and then Jinwoo has Iron, the big, you know, tank, grab him. His shadow mages that he got from, you know, Igris's army casts fire on the elf, and then Jinwoo uses stealth to stab the elf in the side. And then after this, the elf kind of sinks down, and Iron takes a giant hammer and just crushes him over and over and over. So he wins, he succeeds, but I was like, man, you killed a player. I mean, I guess someone that meant him harm, but it wasn't a requirement of the system. This one wasn't a like, do this or you will die. This was a choice that Jinwoo made to, probably neutralize the threat, but also maybe to use him to then fight further and use him in an effective way because this A ranker was not going to be very effective. So it seems like Jinwoo's morality is kind of sliding a little bit. Now, after the boss is dead, because that's how these red gates work. Once the boss is dead, everything opens up. And so they go back, they emerge. The guild president talks to Jinwoo, asks him what happened, and Jinwoo's like, "No thanks, I'm tired." And this guild president is an S ranker, so he is a super powerful person. He is well respected. This S ranker doesn't take too kindly to Jinwoo being like, "No, thank you, I'm tired." This S ranker gets angry at him and says, "Hey, like, look, like my men died out there, like my guild members died out there, so you're gonna tell me what happened." And Jinwoo kind of just like turns him and says, "That might be true, but I'm the reason that your surviving members even pulled through. Two of the guild members survived." And he's like, "Shouldn't you show me some proper gratitude?" And that kind of softens this person. He kind of like, I think he realizes that Jinwoo's not afraid of him, and also, you know, realized he did bring back two of his guild members, so he should show a little bit of respect. So that softens him. It avoids a fight. But when they're talking to the B rank hunter, the B ranker who decided to go with Jinwoo over the A rank leader, the B ranker says after he defeated the boss, his mood turned sour, and we see why. After he defeated the Shadow Elf, Jinwoo tried to arise the Shadow Elf, and his level wasn't high enough. He tried 3 times, didn't work, and so I think that made him upset because he really wanted this as part of his like, menagerie of enemies to be able to fight. And we see this flashback, and he says, essentially Jinwoo is basically saying like all that effort for almost no gain because he didn't get a new piece for his army. Although he did get some levels, so he did get some gain, but he didn't get a new piece for his army. And he also says, I guess that makes it 3 times. I think it's 3 times he's killed someone because remember the first time he killed the person, he had to kill that squad that was targeting him, and the system made him. The second time he killed someone was when the stealth assassin, when the stealth assassin slash bureaucrat attacked him, and he had to kill him or else he was going to die. And now this is, I guess, the 3rd time that he's killed a human. So he's keeping track, but again, it feels like his morality is sliding as it's happening. The very first time, the system forced him to. The system made him because that was a new quest that opened up and he had to do it. The second time, he forced the issue. The person attacked him. He waited for the system to force him to do it, but he knew it was going to. So he's kind of like goading him into it. And then he did it. This time, it was almost just like, hey, I'm going to take you out and use you. So it feels like his morality is sliding. So I think we're going to see what happens there because Jinwoo does seem to have a like long shadow. That's what the system said when it gave him the Necromancer class. So it feels like this might be a moral quandary season for Jinwoo. But he survived. He saved some people. He got some new pieces for his army. And that is Solo Leveling ReAwakening / Solo Leveling episode 1 and 2 of Arise from the Shadow. The movie comes to theaters on December 4th, 2024. Like I said, I think you should watch it later, wait for it to come to streaming. But if you do check it out, let me know what you think. Let me know what you liked and didn't like. I'd love to hear it. And thanks so much for watching. If you like this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Thank you.